Implementation phase is coming from the design phase, where we have crystallized our idea into a prototype, into how the prototype will serve the users, into how the prototype will serve the business. Now we begin to deploy proper. So this is the phase where actual job is done. So you do the actual building or the actual work. This is the phase. The documents relevant to this phase help the team to stay on track and check for quality as they deploy, as they build, as they work on delivering the project. So they remain relevant, or they remain steadfast in delivering the project. Implementation phase, basically what happens in this phase is you actually get to do the job. So this is the phase where you actually get to do the job. All right. So the documentations relevant to this phase relates to helping the team to stay on track, stay on check. They are, minding what they are doing. So let's see some of the documentations relevant to the implementation phase. The sprint backlog is a list of tasks for a sprint. You remember, we have discussed sprint backlogs. We had discussed product backlogs, if you still remember. So the document, in fact, we experimented that during one of our videos. We experimented that, showing the product backlogs, the sprint backlogs, and all. So this documentation, by way of the sprint backlog items, that gives you the list of tasks for a sprint. In a typical Agile project, this is the first thing you need before you start doing the job. So you need to have a list of the tasks that should go into the sprint. So by the time you have the list and you pick those tasks into the sprint, a typical sprint is a 2 weeks time period that allows for implementation to go on for 2 weeks, deploying or working on those set of tasks identified for that particular sprint. So within those 2 weeks, every day as a project manager, your task, or a Scrum Master, your task would be to organize the stakeholders for a Scrum meetings. You have your daily stand-up meetings. You have, at the end of the sprint, you have your sprint review meetings. At the end of the sprint review meeting, you have what we call retrospect meeting, where you get to talk about, what went well during the course of the sprint, what didn't go well, and everything. Then you move into the sprint planning meeting again, where you plan for the next sprint. You begin your daily stand-up as well again. After the end of the second sprint, you do another sprint demo or review meeting. You organize the team members for each of these meetings as you track across the different days of delivering this particular sprint. So you track per day by your daily stand-ups, 15-minute stand-ups. And this is how you stay on track as a Scrum Master or a project manager in this case. So this documentation is very important in the implementation because it helps the team to stay focused during each sprint. So you know what exactly you are doing in the sprint. You know the timeline for delivering that particular sprint. You know who and who are to work on XYZ during the course of that sprint. And at the end of the day, you are reviewing, you are planning, you are reviewing, you are doing your daily stand-ups. You are following the different ceremonies that sprint should typically play out in the Scrum framework. So this documentation, very important. Then we have a test plan. Test plan is typically for the software testers. So a test plan is also very important in the implementation phase of a project because it highlights what you are testing, what the software tester is expected to check against the reality. So your test plan should highlight, this is what we are building. But this is what I should check to be sure that what we are building meets the acceptable criteria. So a test plan is for checking that everything works, basically. It helps to find and fix issues. So the software testers produce test plan. During implementation phase, a software tester produce test plan to be able to test for quality and test to know that what we are building is in line or not in line. And then if it's not in line, they are able to escalate. And as a Scrum Master, once they escalate that, you are expected to re-escalate the same to the development team, who would then fix whatever issue that had been provided or that had been escalated. test cases, and test scripts. This is a set of tests to check functions. It shows if the system does what it should or not. Now, test cases are another document produced by the software testers. They produce a test plan telling you this is how I intend to test. This is what I intend to test. These are the features I'm testing. This is the process I would use or I'll follow in testing these features. The test case is then a detailed document where they now itemize all those key features that they have previously informed us in their plan that they were going to test. They now itemize those key features and they now begin the testing proper. This is the document they use in testing, in the actual testing, the test cases. So they provide these documents. You see the details. Oh, you see the test data. You see the test results. You see all these are in that test case. So by the time we, like I again mentioned, in subsequent videos, we produce, some of these document samples, and then you see how these document samples play out in real terms. Now we have the project status report or the sprint review report. Now, project status report, of course, is very, very important during project implementation because this is a document that provides status updates to the relevant stakeholders. So it's a regular update on progress. It provides regular updates on progress, more like a progress report. It gives the client, this is the idea, this is where we are currently at. If there are issues, these are the issues and all. The project manager is involved in documenting the project status report and sharing with the entire team, including the program manager, clients, and any other stakeholders may be required per time in the project. So the essence is to provide regular updates. Sometimes it's a weekly project status report. Sometimes it's a monthly. Sometimes it's a quarterly, depending on the size of the project and the duration that the project had been set to complete. Okay, for very big projects, for large projects, you find that the status update comes not regularly, but for very small projects, especially IT projects that deploy sprints or Scrum, you find that those project status updates comes every week. All right, comes weekly to give updates to the relevant stakeholders. So it helps managers and team members know what's done and what's not. So you typically see in blue black what exactly is happening to this project per time.